What is your Tinder horror story? After a movie date with a guy I met on Tinder, we came back to my place. We'll call him Dude. I told him we could hang for a bit, but I have work in the morning so I would need to go to sleep soon. Dude said that was fine, but he was hungry and he was going to order food. Okay, sure. Dude orders 2 large subs from Potbelly and a milkshake. Downs it. No judgment, he's 6 feet 4 inches, 210 pounds, young or still growing, by all means. I didn't think anything of it until later. We end up messing around a bit and fall asleep in bed. I wake up to my front door opening and closing several times over a 5-minute period. My dogs are going nuts, and it's 1 a.m. What the heck is this guy doing? I open the door to my room that opens up to the rest of my apartment, and my bathroom is to the left where the light is on and the door is wide open. I walk around the corner to make eye contact with Dude, who is in a squatting position over my toilet, with a stick, poking around in murky brown poop water that is millimeters from overflowing onto my bathroom floor. Horrified, he yells, "Stop looking at me. Go back to bed." I have it under control. I'm still waking up trying to understand what I'm seeing and what's going on, and I just start nervous laughing. I don't know what else to do. He yells, "Why don't you have a plunger?" And I said I don't know, I never needed one until now. He tells me to go back to bed, he has it under control. I'm so disturbed, tired, can't process what's happening, and have work in the morning. I go back to bed. I remember hearing him peek in my room a bit later and I fixed it, and then heard him leave and my door close behind him. The next morning, I hesitantly approach my toilet to find the water is down. But there is something poking out from the bottom of the toilet like he didn't get it all. Upon further inspection, what I was seeing was the tip of a stick. Some gloves, towels and barbecue tongues later, I pulled out approximately 3 foot of stick from my toilet that had broke off, followed by several other stick fragments. Dude had broke several sticks. I heard my door open and close so much, because he was going outside to look for a stick. One would break, he'd go get another. Dude had left drippy poop water stains all over my bathroom floor. He also left my apartment so fast that he left his underwear, an undershirt and socks. After work that day, I went straight to the store and bought a plunger. Well, I've only gone on one Tinder date. We talked for a bit and I agreed to pick her up at Starbucks. She looked nothing like her pictures, but I thought I should be nice and at least hang out with her for a bit. We went to her place and the entire house reeked like cat pee. Like saturated. Then as she proceeded to show me her massive collection of animal tail butt plugs, she screamed at her chihuahua and smacked it right on the nose, and without missing a beat just asks if I want to make out on the couch. I awkwardly sat down and pretended to look at my phone and made up that my grandma was dying so I could get fuck off. I went on a date with this guy who I didn't really have anything in common with, but thought I'd give him a shot anyways. We met up at a bar and he had already pounded 2 pitchers of beer but was completely sober, at least from what I could tell. We hung out, talked, and although he seemed nice enough, I wasn't quite feeling it. I wanted to leave, but he convinced me to go to another bar to get one last drink. Seeing as it was only about 8 p.m. I agreed to one more drink. We were sitting at the bar and a couple was making out next to us. He looked at me and asked what I thought people in the bar would do if he and I started making out. I knew where this was going. I tried to laugh and make some joke about no one paying attention. He then insisted that we should make out. I nervously laughed and told him that wasn't a very good idea and excused myself to the restroom. I came back to the seat and he had a shot waiting for me and insisted I drink it. No shot for him, just me. I declined and he got really upset and said he was ready to go. At that point in the evening he had consumed 2 pitchers of beer, for margaritas, and 2 more pints, yet displayed no sign of being intoxicated. Nonetheless, I knew there was a lot of alcohol in his system and asked if he thought it was a good idea for him to drive. He got extremely defensive and said he was fine. We exited the bar and he took off in the opposite direction. When I got home I texted him just to make sure he was okay because I'd had so much to drink. His response? I only date girls I fuck on the first date. A chick said she was having a work party at her house and I should come over. It's BYOB, so I bought a 6-pack for myself. Went to her place and noticed more than half of the people were younger, 17 to 18, while I was 21 and the girl was also 21. Then they gathered everyone in the living room and proceeded to talk about the job. Turns out it was one of those pyramid scheme recruiting gatherings. I just sat there drinking my beer, only one drinking, for 2 hours because I thought it was rude to leave because they were telling sob stories and saying how much this job had helped them. Sat there listening to some head of the group guy saying how we can make millions in a short amount of time. Saying bullshit like, you see my BMW 3 Series out front? That's a company car that you can drive around in, if you do what we do. It was sad because they were trapping low-income teens that are deciding not to go to college and to join them. After the pitch, I pretty much had enough and was preparing to leave. Then the girl came up to me and asked what I thought, and I just said it's not for me and I'm leaving. She asked if I wanted to take my beer and I said they needed it more than I did. 2 or 3 weeks later she sent me a text, unfortunately we exchanged numbers, asking if the head of the group guy can call me and ask me questions on why I'm not signing up and how I thought the group session went. I didn't reply, but sure enough the dude called me and I politely said it's not for me, but he kept pushing. Finally I had to tell him to fuck off. And that was the end of that. Never went to work parties for a Tinder date again. It was a complete shit show, and if it wasn't for the beer I brought or the Tinder date's dog, I would have just left. Matched with this cute girl a few years back. Went out for drinks. It was going well, decided to head out to the beach with a 6-pack to stargaze and make out. Somehow we ended up on a stolen sailboat at 2 a.m. with her ex, an old drunken boat repairman, who made copies of the keys to steal the boat, and her dog. After arguing with her ex for 30 minutes she blacks out and falls asleep. Her dog is scared out of its mind and is shitting everywhere. Her ex starts tripping on acid and yells at me that I have to take care of her and never hurt her. Then runs to the bow of the boat to finish his trip. The old drunken boat thief is just chilling and chugging vodka like it was water. I said fuck it, cleaned up after the dog and brought the poor pup inside the cabin with me, then passed out. Next morning I woke up to the girl and her ex screaming at each other about some car crash and whose fault it was. The old boat thief was gone and I had no clue where I parked. I left without them noticing, got some coffee and breakfast, and wandered around the harbor until I found my car. We lived about 25 minutes from each other, so agreed to meet at the beach pier about halfway between. Before meeting, we had been texting and he seemed totally normal. I was already at the pier when he texted me saying he can't meet me there because his license is revoked and it's too far for him to walk. I should have just left then, but I agreed to meet him at a pizza place closer to him. I get there, and I'm standing outside when I see him, and quickly realize the pics from his profile were at least 3 to 5 years old. Homeboy looks like the dollar store version of himself. Greasy, looks like he hasn't showered in days, hair undone, holes in his shirt. I awkwardly give him a side hug and suggest we get a seat, and he says, "Oh, no, we're not getting pizza. Let's go to the park." I awkwardly say okay, and as he talks, I realize his gums and tongue ring are stained black from smoking. By this point, I am completely turned off and am just keeping up with formalities. So we get to the park and find a bench to talk, and before I can sit down, homie pulls me onto his lap, squeezing me and saying, "God, baby girl, you are so fucking cute." I awkwardly scooch away and try to get a conversation going. He pulls out his phone and starts texting for a few minutes, not really listening to me, before interrupting with, "Have you smoked? My friend is a plug, we could go back to my place for a bowl." I decline. "Ah, come on, baby girl, my place is just right there. We could have some fun, too." I decline again. Next thing you know, he pulls me close by the face and whispers, "You're so innocent," before broad-tongued licking my face from chin to ear. Shell-shocked, I just sit there for a moment processing what the fuck just happened as he keeps talking about weed before I decide to fake an urgent phone call and leave.